Hey guys, how's it going? Michael Troy here. Today we're looking at Moon Knnight Fist of Khonshu #1 from 1985 Marvel Comics. Hot on the heels of the new Moon Knight Marvel series on Disney Plus, which is freaking amazing. I love it. Huge Moon Knight fan. Can't wait to show you this book. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button and let's get right into this puppy. Okay, this is amazing. Mind blown. This is like one of the huge highlights of comic book history. 1985, such a great year. So great, in fact, like Brian Michael Bendis did a series called 1985 because it was just like magical in so many ways. I feel and I love that my first example is going to be like Secret Wars, even though I think that was 1984. But anyway, 1985, great year. The 80s, 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Oh Christ, the 40s and the 50s were good too. And I don't even mind the 90s. The odds are kind of questionable in recent years for, the big two, the more popular superhero comics. It's definitely like a time for indie comics, and so, but this is like the comics from my childhood, the stuff I love, the things that made me fall in love with comic books. Moon Knight holds a special place in my heart. It was one of my brother's early first, really favorite comic books. I remember falling in love with Bill Sienkiewicz's art on Moon Knight, and that created a lifelong love affair with me and Bill S. because of his art. I just love it so much. So, of course, that made Moon Knight very cool to me. And then but I felt like my brother had more ownership of Moon Knight, but then when, this new series came out, this is post the Bill Sienkiewicz, Doug Mensch, series. So I felt I had a little more carte blanche to take ownership since it was like a new #1. And this gag where they cover, oh my God, Chris Warner, I instantly recognized his signature and I love his art. I feel like he's probably most popular, I want to say, for his Predator series or something like that for Dark Horse. But I know he's definitely well respected, well loved, and his art is just beautiful. Such a not strange, but I feel like there's certain characters who have been gifted with having amazing artists throughout their publication runs, even if they haven't always been the most popular or the best selling. Like Doctor Strange comes to mind, like Paul Smith, Michael Golden, and of course the creator Steve Ditko, whatever, but he seems more like a fringe character, and Moon Knight has always been a little more fringe in my eyes. Bill Sienkiewicz, revolutionary, amazing, love his art, always be associated with Moon Knight. He's done some, recent promo stuff associated with the TV show, and gorgeous. Just when you think he can't, out Bill Sienkiewicz himself, he always does. He just will always be amazing, and I love him for that. But Moon Knight, I just did, Stephen Platt's first and last issues of Moon Knight. A lot of great art has come out of this. I don't know what the problem has been with Moon Knight. It feels like, whatever, the other series had 60 issues, so to have a 50-issue run of a monthly comic in any market is very impressive. So, Moon Knight is definitely one of those characters that seems to have 9 lives, and he always comes back in some different way. And I always feel like he's been cool. It's like he's such an anti-Batman in a lot of ways. He's white. It's strange for a character who's enshrouded in shadow. Then he has this weird connection to Egyptian mythology, and then throw in the Mark Spector angle of him having, I guess, either associative identity disorder or split personalities, which, there's debate on whether that's a real thing or not now, or just something that was sort of, I don't know, symbolized, for lack of a better word. I don't know. I'm going off on some weird tangent. But anyway, just That's what I loved about the TV show, and I'm glad that I'm on this Moon Knight kick with back issues here. But it was just so different and exciting and just like crazy. And Doug Moench is like an amazing writer, and I love his writing. Interestingly here, okay, so Night of the Jackal, this new Moon Knight series, we're leaning in heavily to the Egyptian stuff, you know, instead of a crescent, he's got an ankh on his chest. And oh my God, can we just like cry over how beautiful this Chris Warner art is? I love it so much. The corner box, the classic Marvel corner box. I wish they would never have abandoned this. Like, it's such a feeling of joy and like instant connection to these comics to see that in the corner. I just love that. I am instantly triggered by the horrifying like printing, coloring of the flexographic thing they were doing then. It produced bright garish colors. It often muted the blacks of the printing. Like you can see when we might getting towards the end of a print run here as the blacks get lighter and lighter. Just kind of crazy coloring. I mean, ruined a lot of great comics. Crisis on Infinite Earths #1 comes to mind. And I'm sure we'll see like huge like mistakes and problems with the coloring process going on here, which is a shame because you have this beautiful, beautiful Chris Warner art. Alan Salentis, never heard of his name. I don't remember. It doesn't ring any bells. E.R. Cruz inks. That does ring some bells. I feel like he worked with Chris Warner a lot, and definitely, obviously, very flattering finisher. Beautiful details and technique, and just like, oh, like, we'll get into it. Joe Rosen, famous letterer. Christy Shield. See, and that's like, I feel like that's where the printing is like the biggest disservice to her. Like, she's known for like some pretty cutting edge coloring, I think on Daredevil and things like that. Danny O'Neill, legend. Jim Shooter, controversial, but he helmed a lot of my favorite comics, so I didn't know I was supposed to hate him until somebody told me I was, and I've actually seen interviews where he kind of redeems, or at least gives you a better understanding of his POV, so I'm not mad at Jim Shooter. Beautiful, beautiful Egyptian art. I think of my friend Doug Hamilton, who loves Egyptian stuff, and does amazing, like, 3D, like, minifigures, and it has this like amazing Egyptian line. I've always loved Egyptian art. I think it's beautiful. Like hieroglyphics are like the first comic books in a way, you know, visual storytelling. You know, they, aside from the artistic relevance of hieroglyphics, they told a story, and it was like a way of like record keeping, and in a way, like, if comics wasn't made for that purpose, it lends itself perfectly to that. Love this little Anubis head, my chihuahua with his big Anubis ears. I love him so much. One of my nicknames for him is Anubis. If you know me personally, you know my Rocco, so there it is. This is some just like truly gorgeous art. I love, like, Chris Warner is just really good. It's like, you know, I feel like sort of in the same wheelhouse of like a Wallace Wood or like, you know, Terry and the Pirates, and just like Flash Gordon, just like that high caliber, like detailed, but like mad respect for the art form, and that like, I just love the hatching and the inks and the pen work, and it's just really, really beautiful. And then we don't know for sure though, because the bad printing and the flexography, I don't know. And the Twin Towers. I always point it out when I see it, because never forget, right, for one. And it's always just so weird because it's like, I definitely think it's like such a benchmark in history that it was like, there's life before 9/11 and life after. And sort of, you can't help but think about it when you see the Twin Towers, which was so interesting at the time because like Spider-Man came out right after, and, you know, they had to, like, remove any promos with the Twin Towers because it was too sensitive at the time. But now I think, like, you know, like the King Kong remake, you know, he's standing on the Twin Towers in the poster, and obviously you don't want to, like, go into that too much around the time, but I think you have to respect and acknowledge that they did exist and what happens on a certain level. So there's that. But I just love this. Like, this proves, like, what a great anchor our ER Cruz is for Chris Warner, because, and I think of anchors like Bob Wiacek, who are kind of, underrated, because what they do is almost invisible, because this is as beautiful as if, I feel as if, like, what we would probably see in Chris Warner's pencils, and it would, like, might even be, you know, reproduced from the pencils. It wouldn't look much different than what the inker brought, and I think there's a lot of merit in that. I think for like a great penciler who doesn't need any embellishment, that's such a great service as an inker. And but then there's inkers like Terry Austin, who just freaking elevate every penciler no matter what, from John Byrne to Art Adams to Rick Leonardi to Paul Smith to, I think, Michael Golden, Marshall Rogers, obviously, just like so many. It's funny, I don't think I've ever seen Terry Austin ink somebody like Alan Davis, who I think might not be the best fit in a way, even though he's, like, flawless in every other direction. You know, he used to ink a lot of George Perez, like, specifically on covers for Marvel. I want to say, like, the X-Men and a few other things. And it's funny because it really showed the kind of aesthetic that Terry Austin brought to the book. And I think, in a way, that's why we're such fans of Terry Austin, because we love his work, but why somebody like John Byrne, who's not super appreciative of it, because I think maybe he felt like it was a little overpowering. But, you know, it's like the X-Men Teen Titans was drawn by Walt Simonson, but inked by Terry Austin, and it's so beautiful and looks like an X-Men book because it has that Terry Austin stamp on it, if that makes sense. I'm totally off on this tangent, ignoring this book. There's, like, beautiful storytelling going on, like, just amazing details. Like, I love this. Like, there's so much, like, this is like looking at storyboards for a movie. Great Zipatone there. I love this Anubis head so much. I kind of want one for myself. I don't know, is that like some sort of weird animal anthropomorphic? Like, I'm dying to see the original pencils for this, because Chris Warner is just, like, such a beautiful artist, and just, like, such a great draftsman, and just, like, there's just such a natural quality to his art. You know, it looks like it was drawn from life, but lacking the stiffness that sometimes accompanies that. So, I mean, this is just a man who knows his art, is very talented, but obviously very skilled, and also very knowledgeable of, like, human anatomy, gesture, expression, storytelling. Like, I remember being really blown away by this and just being so excited. And of course it was a #1. So, you know, like, I think that was kind of the magic of monthly books. And I feel like so many people think, like, oh, comic books are off-putting because, you know, what reader can jump on board with Fantastic Four number 578? Well, I'm living proof that you can. Like, my first issue of X-Men was 163. My first issue of FF was 243 or something like that. But the point being is just that, like, if it's good, that's all you need. And if you love it enough, you'll catch up to the extent that you need to be on board with it. I feel like in a way that sells the fanship short and underestimates them and stuff like that. Like, there's so much beautiful, dense, gorgeous artwork happening here. This is amazing. I don't think this lasted super long. I could be wrong. you know, like Moon Knight isn't a complete failure. Obviously, I'm getting huge Spectre vibes here, and I love that. So that's great. This is like such beautiful comic book storytelling. You guys, if you are not familiar with this and you're Moon Knight fans, although I'm thinking hopefully like Moon Knight back issues are like probably becoming more scarce and valuable, and I hope this is one of them. I mean, this art is just tremendous and beautiful and like whatever. Like this is definitely worth your time to seek out and read. And I'm so happy I was able to share it with you. That was super long. The Fist of Khonshu, Moon Knight #1 from 1985. Beautiful Chris Warner art. Totally worth checking out. I hope you guys are loving the amazing new series on Disney Plus. I'm loving it. It's giving me Moon Knight fever, and it's a happy place for me. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel, hit like, share my content, and I'll bring you more soon. Thanks, guys.